Today there's going to be no funny intros, no funny business, no jokes at all, because I'm actually very pissed off. This is Darth in a pissed off mood. Why is Darth pissed? Well, Darth is pissed off because Darth read a few news stories. Okay, I'll stop talking in third person. I've seen a few things in the news this past week that have really pissed me off. And I didn't want to make a video about this, but I have to, because if I don't vent about it, I'm just going to freak out on someone at the grocery store. Alright, so since I'm not really in the mood to waste a bunch of your time and go off on a tangent with some stupid jokes, let's just get into it. Alright, so we're going to start with this story first. BLM activists rally around a police officer's home and threaten to kill him and burn down his home with his family still inside. Yeah, there's a video.
Black Lives Matter! We're gonna burn your building down! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Aren't they just a lovely little bunch of protesters? So I'm not going to read the article because I feel like the video speaks for itself. But this next article is a bit more upsetting. And then the one after this gets even more upsetting. So prepare yourself. But in this story, apparently during the riots over the weekend, a man was presumed to be looting, and as he was fleeing the scene, he ran over a mother and her daughter. He kept going, turned around, faced the mother and her daughter on the curb, revving his engine like a villain in a movie, like vroom, vroom, and then drove full speed at the mother and daughter, fatally killing one of them. Alright, so we're over here at Breitbart News. The title reads, "The suspect has been charged with first-degree murder after hitting two women with his truck and returning to fatally run over one of them a second time following a looting spree in Chicago, according to officials. Zora Lee Ryan, 55, and her daughter were struck while crossing the street after dinner at a local restaurant at roughly 10:15 p.m. on Monday night, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Edgar Roman, 25, is accused of intentionally running the women down at a high rate of speed and then running one of them over again. They say, and I quote, "The police and prosecutors said Roman got out of the SUV, standing about 10 feet away as bystanders rushed to aid Ryan, who was thrown against the curb, and her daughter," the Patch reports. Prosecutors said that Roman got back into his SUV and drove a few car lengths away before speeding down Hubbard and circling back, this time revving his engine as he aimed to hit the women again. Roman attempted to report his vehicle stolen later that night following the chase with police, authorities say. Roman then managed to speed away from officers, but cops found the rest of his truck abandoned on a side street near Montrose and Kennedy Expressway around 11:30 p.m., according to police. Roman was then arrested at a local precinct after this fucking idiot attempted to report his SUV as stolen. I mean, how low is this guy's IQ? How dumb do you have to be to commit murder and then go to the police and say, "Oh, my truck was stolen"? You can't just commit a crime with your vehicle, murder, and then go to the police and say, "My car was stolen, so I think it was that guy. Whoever stole my car is the one who committed the crime." No. The detectives are not stupid. I'm glad you got caught. We have reason to believe that this vehicle was involved in a looting. Detectives have not yet made that determination, but there's some witness statements that suggest it. We know that looters drive extremely fast and recklessly, and that was what this vehicle was doing. It struck this woman at a high rate of speed on Hubbard Street and dragged her for about a block and didn't stop, said Alderman Brian Hopkins. Hopkins continues to say, and I quote, "The looters have no regard for the safety of others, and the driver of this vehicle was driving in a manner consistent with that. I believe that because this vehicle was driving in such a reckless manner downtown, that it was connected to the looting incidents," he said. Roman is now facing charges for first-degree murder, attempted murder, and other crimes. And now for the third and final news story of the video. I want to warn you that this one is the most horrific, in my opinion. Maybe it's as horrific as the previous story, but this one is very upsetting and very distressing. An innocent 5-year-old child was just shot point blank in the head while riding his bike.
Awful lot of crime and violence going on right now. We try to highlight it, not for ghoulish reasons, but because we think it's important you know what's actually happening. This one's particularly horrifying. The killing of a 5-year-old boy shocked North Carolina, not getting a lot of national news coverage. Rick Leventhal has that story for us tonight. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Tucker, this wasn't a kid caught in the crossfire, a victim of some random drive-by. This was a little boy playing on his bicycle with his 7- and 8-year-old sisters nearby, shot point blank in the head. Funeral services are being held this hour in Wilson, North Carolina for 5-year-old Cannon Hinnant, who was supposed to start kindergarten this week. Witnesses say Cannon was playing on his bike in front of his dad's house Sunday afternoon when a man walked up, put a gun to his head, and pulled the trigger. Arriving officers and EMS attempted life-saving efforts and took the boy to the hospital, but Cannon could not be saved. The suspect, 25-year-old Darius Sessoms, was arrested Monday and charged with first-degree murder. He lived next door and reportedly may have been angered because Cannon rode his bike on Sessoms' lawn earlier in the day. Cannon's mom wrote on Facebook, "My baby didn't see color. My baby made sure you knew he loved you, even if he only knew you 5 minutes. I don't care what damn color you were." And his grandmother asked, "When are we going to write Children's Lives Matter on Hollywood Boulevard?" Sessoms, who neighbors say had dinner with Cannon's father the night before the shooting, has a criminal record with firearms and drug convictions. Cannon's mom says she hopes Sessoms rots in hell. Tucker.
And believe it or not, it actually gets worse. Not only was the disgusting and despicable act of murdering an innocent 5-year-old child deplorable, but so are some of these BLM activists' responses to this atrocity. And now some radical leftists reacted to the murder of a 5-year-old boy in North Carolina by an African-American male by celebrating the brutal killing, with one asserting it was justified payback for the boy's, and I quote, white privilege. Okay, so we are now entering very adult-themed content, so this is my warning to you. The article reads, Cannon Hinant was shot in the head at point-blank range for the crime, quote-unquote, of riding his bike on the 25-year-old felon Darius Nathaniel Sessoms' property. His shocking murder was witnessed by a neighbor and Hinant's 2 younger sisters. I'm so angry right now that I don't know. I don't have words. Give me a second. While what comes as no shock to anybody, the mainstream media networks have entirely ignored the story. But it did catch the eye of some Black Lives Matter supporters who openly celebrated Hinant's death. And here is the original Facebook post and article explaining what happened in this unforgivable and horrific murder of an innocent 5-year-old child. And one Facebook user and known BLM activist, Terrell Kent, says, "I don't give a shit. He is white. It's time for revenge. We tired. Shit over with. Now we shooting y'all. Go cry to your mama," with laughing face emojis. And if we zoom in, you can see this white knight piece of shit, this racist piece of shit, Dante Salvador. I'm assuming he's white because what I can see from his profile picture, but maybe he's Hispanic, I don't know. But he says in a comment, and I quote, I'm sorry, this is hard for me to read. "Blew his little white privileged brains clean out of his head, exclamation point. Hashtag Black Lives Matter, in bold." And now I want everyone to take a good look at this photo of the 5-year-old who was murdered in cold blood. And I want you to tell me what you see. You know what I see? I see joy, happiness, a kid who just wants to be loved, a kid who can't wait to get up in the morning and take on the day and learn something new. I see a child with a bright future, full of imagination and wonder. I see innocence. I do not see a child who deserved to be shot point blank in the fucking head. And if anybody agrees that this was a justified shooting in the name of Black Lives Matter or ending white privilege, then you and me have a fucking problem, amigo. You tell me when and where to meet you, and I will meet you, and we will settle this and end it like fucking men. Because people like you don't deserve to be on this fucking planet. People like the man who killed this child don't deserve to be breathing the same oxygen this kid's family is breathing. I'm fucking pissed, man. Now, I didn't make today's video because I get some kind of personal joy out of talking about these topics. I made the video because I feel like it's important that we understand what's going on right now. I think it's important that we understand, unfortunately, what a lot of the BLM activists have turned to, which is violence and racism. And it's okay to burn things down. It's okay to kill innocent children. Now, of course, I'm aware that not every BLM activist or every protester agrees with this kind of rhetoric. I understand that. But it's important to show you the direction that this movement is headed, which is extremely radical. To show you that this is no longer about George Floyd or police brutality. They want a complete and total government takeover. They want to control you. They want to dox you. They want to burn your house down if you are a police officer. Do you know how scary that is? They are using radical ideologies to justify violence, to justify burning down homes and businesses. I mean, to be honest, I got nothing else I want to say right now. So I'm gonna take off. But Maybe I'll come back with a funny video later to balance it out. But I'm pissed off. I'm really pissed off. So, thanks for tuning in.